I want to welcome you this morning as a new admissions partner in the Coast Guard Academy Admissions Partner Program. In this training, we are going to go over a very valuable resource to you, and that's the Bears Den. The Bears Den will be your means of accessing partner documents. This will help you do your job. The URL is above uscga.askadmissions.net/VIP/. You have a username and password that you developed when you submitted your application into the Partners Program, but you can't get to the site until you have passed your background check and been accepted as an Academy admissions partner. Once you are an Academy admissions partner, your access to the site will be complete. And what we're going to do this morning is we are actually going to go over how to use the Bears Den once you have access to this site. You will sign in. This is your sign-in page with your username and password, and that will get you to the first page. We're now going to go over and work through these pages so you can see the documents that you have access to. All right, so here we are in the Bears Den. The first page that you will come up to this is the lead-in page, and it has a lot of information right here. There's suggested partner activities for the different months. We're in the month of we're in the month of October right now, and things to consider for October are as follows. All right. Here we go, October. So we may be interviewing local area applicants. The early action deadline is October 15th. We have a number of activities. We can meet with local and Senate nominating committee staff to increase awareness. So this calendar is specific for each month in terms of what activities you may consider doing as a partner. The next step are the events. We've talked about the events in other training, and they include college fairs, they include high school visits, they include meeting with students. And if you are just starting out in your area, the first thing that you can do is you can actually search for an event. So if you hit search for event, the events within the next year, and we would go to any kind of event. We want to go any kind of category, and this will search depending on location. So if I am in Colorado and we search for the events within the next year, no results found in Colorado. So let's go to North Carolina. We're going to search again, and we pop up with a number of events. So coming up on October 28th is a military academy fair. If you want to work that event, you would then register for the event. So this particular screen will give you events in many, many different areas. If we go back to that same area on events, you can find your events, what you're signed up for. If you are signing up for a college fair and want to notify the academy about the fair, you would do an event notification form. And here you can enter all the aspects of the events, you submit, and the academy then will put that on the calendar and will register you for that event. After the event, it is really important to do an event summary form. This lets the academy know that you went to the event, that you talked to students. And if you go to the event summary form, here it gives you partner affiliation. You can say what grade levels were present at that event, and you can make general comments about the event. This, again, will allow the academy to put in your hours for the event. They'll know who you spoke to. They'll know whether it's a worthwhile event. All right, let's go back. So this category The final aspect in this particular section, the other part of the event is the interview summary form. If you do an interview, you summarize the interview on the interview summary form, and this has all of the questions that you're going to be discussing with the applicant. Describe your initial impression of the student. These are icebreaker questions, required questions. And once you do your interview, you fill out all these segments and then you submit to the academy. So again, this section is important for events and interviews. The database section, the state coordinator likely has access to this. Most partners do not have access to the database section, so you can ignore this. The edit profile section, if you've changed your email since you put in your application to become a partner, you would edit your profile here. And this talks about the social media available to you that discusses the academy. A lot of this website does need to be revised, and the Facebook link does not work, but the YouTube link works very nicely. This gives a number of videos about the academy that you can share with students. You could play at your table. You can direct them to the academy YouTube site. And just to show you an example of what you would see there, this is the YouTube site. These are the commencement exercises from last year. There's billet night. There's a number of very, very useful videos all on the Coast Guard Academy YouTube site. So you may be interested in just going through some of these videos, but your link will be on your Bears Den account, and I would encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube site. All right, so that is the left side. The right side is exceedingly important. We talked about on previous training ordering materials from the government printing office to support your activities as a partner for college fairs. And the information on recruiting materials is here. The password is listed, so you don't have to remember it, but you will get to the Coast Guard Academy ordering login. You would log in, and these are the different things that are available to you to order right now. You would select your quantity, planning your visit, information for parents. There's some swag that you can order, and then you would place your order. So this is how you order supplies for college fairs. All right. The partner documents are really key. This is going to give you a huge amount of information, will help you in your work as an academy admissions partner. So if we go to the links, this you should have seen already. You sign the volunteer expectation agreement, and that is kept on file at the Coast Guard Academy. This talks about good practice just from college the admission counseling division. And so these are useful. And then we move into other resources. For those of you that attended the auxiliary training session, these modules were the modules that we went over. However, the modules that we went over have been updated since these were done. And for those of you who did not do those modules, we can give you access to those. The other training guide, this goes over the Scholars Program. This tells you a little bit about the Scholars Program. Again, as a partner, we're exposing students to the Coast Guard Academy as they are accepting students. Some of the students are going to be selected to the Scholars Program, where they will have a pre-academy year to improve some aspect of their application, whether it be leadership, whether it be academics, whether it be athletics. And this particular training will go over what this is all about so that you can give this information to students. We have a number of outreach and recruiting resources. We talked extensively at our other training about the different aspects or avenues that you have for training, but this partner toolkit then goes and actually will list in a Word document knowledge that you should have, actions that you should have, accountability, and so you can get that through a Word document. This also has what the class is seeing. This is the class of 2028 applicant handbook. It's very similar to the class of 2029, which is who we're recruiting for right now, but this tells you what the applicant is going to see. We talked about giving students access to the Bears Den. The student applies through the Bears Den account. They have a different window than you have. Because you have a partner window, they will have a student window for submitting their application. And on the recruiting resources, there's actually a QR code that you can print out that students can directly electronically go to the Bears Den account. There's a one-page briefing guide. If you are going to be giving a briefing at a Service Academy event, the one-page briefing guide will give you all the information that you need to do that. And then going on down, we have our admissions officer regions, your regional and state coordinators. If you want to see who was appointed, this is the class of 2028 because the class of 2029 has not been appointed yet. But when the admissions process closes on October 15th, things will start being listed in terms of appointment updates, whether they have a standard or prep. You can reach out to those students, talk to them, find out if they have any questions as they're making their decision. And so that is very useful to you. The applicant status guide, it will tell you what it actually means, whether they're waitlisted, whether they have a medical issue, that they're waiting a conditional appointment. That's what the status guide is. Most of the time you will not be using that. That's more useful to the state coordinators who have access to the alternate database. The next is interviews. Two things. These are guidelines for interviews. We spoke about this at training. You want to make sure that you maintain your integrity in terms of doing your interviews in a public place where there are other people around, but the guidelines are all in here. And if you want to see who has been given an interview, this is the interview tracker. These are people that are offered and completed interviews. And again, you work with your state coordinator to cover the interviews, but that information is here. We already looked at the evaluation form. You can get to the evaluation form here as well. Many students, as they get appointed to the academy, have the opportunity to have their appointment published in a community newspaper, a local newspaper, and this is the appointment news relief language that you can give to the students so that they can submit it to a local paper. We're often called to give presentations to the new class, and this is at graduations, it's at senior award ceremonies, and we have access to an appointment presentation script that is sort of a standard that we use when we give these presentations. The same goes for the scholars program. There is a presentation script. And then the next is the calendar of critical dates. The critical dates are the dates that apply to the application. So when the application opens, when early action is done, when the student should be expected to hear from early action, when medical has to be completely cleared. So these are the critical dates as they apply to the application. When we're talking to students, we mentioned in the training that the athletic site is very, very useful to students in going to look and be recruited potentially by a coach for their particular sport. There's also performing arts information. The cadet music department is very, very varied. There's a wide range of musical groups, and for certain applicants, they may be a superior musician who the music department would like to know something about. And the performing arts information, you can connect a musically talented student with the director of the particular band or ensemble. All right, so important things about the students. What about resources for the cadets? Say you've been working really, really hard with the student, they've been admitted to the academy, you want to send them a card supporting their activities at the academies. These are all the post office boxes of all the cadets. So that is available to us. This particular section lists the postgraduate programs. Many students go on to graduate school that is paid for by the Coast Guard. People will go to law school. People will go to engineering graduate school. And this particular piece of paper lists all of the postgraduate programs that students have been involved in over the past several years. And when you're talking to students at a booth, it's helpful to have this sheet. Parents often ask about it, but it talks about the different postgraduate programs that students have gone to. Clubs are very important for students outside of the classroom. And there are a number of, there's a very diverse group of clubs at the Coast Guard Academy. This is a little bit old. This is 2022, 2023. The advisors may be similar. The presidents will not be, but it gives you an idea of the clubs that are available to students. What I have found very helpful is all of these documents is to actually print them out and make a notebook and have the notebook available at your table during a college fair. So if something comes up and somebody says, do you have a equestrian club? You can go in there and you can see if there was a club, you can direct the student to that particular activity. The other thing that is very exciting for you as a partner, you've been working with these students. They got into the academy. They're graduating. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? The billet assignments are listed here. This is, again, from the year before last, 2023. These are the billet assignments. So these are where your cadet is going to spend their first year as an ensign in the Coast Guard. The billet assignments also allow you to talk to students and say, hey, listen, look at this. These group of people went to flight school. This group of people went to as an engineering officer on a boat, and it gives them an idea of what they're going to do after the academy. The next section talks about AIM. We've talked about AIM extensively. This is the Academy Introduction Mission, and it is an opportunity for juniors to try out the Coast Guard Academy for a week. The AIM guidance is useful to you, so you know what the students are getting about the AIM program. The AIM appointees are important to you because these are students that are very interested in the academy. They're applying for this summer program. They're sorted by state. And you, as an admissions partner in Missouri, should look at your state AIM selections and reach out to those students as they're going into their senior year and potentially applying. See if they need any help. If they need any question answers, you can help give them guidance. So it's very helpful to do that. Some of the partners have sent out letters or emails to all of the students that from their state or their area that went to AIM. So having this information is very useful. You can also apply to be AIM staff. We had about 40, each session at AIM, there's 3 weeks of in-person AIM. And during that, there are anywhere between 15 and 17 partners who are selected to work. And it's very rewarding to work with the high school students during the summer program as they're making their decisions. And you support the cadre as they are presenting this program or working through this program with the students. We're getting close to the end. There's a business card template. With the business card template, you can download it and personalize it with your name, email, and phone number so that you can give it to students. They can contact you after a college fair, ask questions. There's a USCGA visit announcement, so that can be printed off and posted in the high school. There's an introduction letter to guidance counselors. So if you're going to do a high school visit, not necessarily meeting with students, you can meet the counselors or the career information center in the local high schools and give them information about the Coast Guard Academy. This is an introduction letter, and you can personalize it so the counselor can get back to you directly. There's a thank you letterhead to submit to people to ensure that they're of their awareness. If you are an auxiliarist, there is non-reimbursable order document that you can use to make sure that you're basically under orders for the particular college fair. And there's a number of job aids for college fairs. Most of the college fairs that we go to, we don't have funding for a huge number of college fairs. So there is a fee waiver request, and many schools will have college fairs that are not charged. The Partners Program has an advisory board. This talks about the bylaws. And then down in this area this is the Coast Guard Academy YouTube site that I showed you earlier, but if you directly want to go, you've got a student at your table, they're interested in flight school and an aviation career. You can go directly to this YouTube site, and there will be a 1 to 2 minute video talking about flight school and aviation careers in the Coast Guard. So this is useful to have access to that, whether you're taking a laptop or a iPad, something similar, tablet, to a college fair, if somebody specifically asks you about these kind of questions. And again, we talked about the Academy admissions videos. There is a LinkedIn group where they try to give updates about the Partners program. And so it's useful to join that LinkedIn group. We talked about this before, the ordering site. This is just another place to link to the GPO ordering site. It usually takes about it's less than a week for you to get your supplies. We talked about it one of the earlier trainings. Right now, some of the printing of the brochures that we use to give out to college fairs is a little bit behind, and those will not appear until they become available. The key thing is that there is a blog program. There is a Facebook blog page, but also the blog site is on the main Coast Guard Academy site, and I find it very useful if students have questions about, like, what does it mean to be a student at the Coast Guard Academy? Is it going to be too hard for me? Will I get to do other activities? The blog program is unbelievable. The cadets from many different years will blog about all the different topics. They'll blog about extracurricular activities. They may blog about religious programs. They may blog about academics, but it's very useful for the high school students to look at these, because these are students their age that are talking about their activities. So this is a Facebook blog, but there's also a separate blog site. SAT and ACT are required this year, and you'll have links to the websites for the SAT and ACT. We talked about in an earlier training. Remember that these are super scored, but this will give you an idea about testing dates so that you can advise students. The students are all required to pass a medical exam by the Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board, and this will give you an overview of the medical review process for application to the Academy. And recognize that not everything that is initially considered disqualifying is disqualifying. If a student is medically disqualified, they may have the opportunity to get a medical waiver. It just really depends on the type of disqualification it is. Now, for those of you that are near Coast Guard stations, one of the things that is really stimulating for a student is actually to see active duty Coast Guard, to go to an air station, to go to a boat. And this is the unit guide. So looking at the unit guide, You can connect your local sector or base and try to arrange for a visit. Ask to speak with the point of contact. There's usually a public affairs officer, and you can make arrangements for students or a group of students to come and get a tour, talk to the officers, and get a better idea of the operational Coast Guard. All right, now moving down to admissions. This is the Coast Guard has a lot of instructions, the superintendent instructions. This is the one that covers the admissions partner program. It has not been updated. It's from May of 2018. This talks about the Coast Guard Academy organizational structure. This talks about the Privacy Act and then marketing publications guidelines. So these are all admissions policy documents that you can take a look at. As many of you know, we have a new director of admissions, Captain Benke, and the interview policy will be updated as he's establishing what he wants in terms of interview guideline. And remember, we talked about at one of the previous training sessions that right now, the Coast Guard Academy decides who they want to interview. Not everyone in this cycle is going to be interviewed, but people will be offered an interview if they have some aspect that the Academy wants to make a little bit more clear to the admissions panel. Then the final section has to do with Admission Partner Service Award recipients. This has really not been updated, but many people are recognized for the hours they put in as admission partners, and you can see these recognitions in awards in this section. So that is the Bears Den. Huge number of documents available to you. Once you get your access to the Bears Den, I would encourage you to go through the site and look at all the documents, decide what you want to print out, and have in a notebook for your table or for reference. Many of these statistics are in the pocket guide that you will be getting as you become an admissions partner. The pocket guide is also available as an online PDF, but the information here is really vast. And that is really it about the Bears Den. I want to thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me